Hello and welcome back, my tooks, my fools, our wonderful listeners. We are here for Chapter 8, Fog on the Barrow-Downs of Fellowship of the Ring. And I hope everybody's reading along. You better be reading along. But if you're not reading along and you're just listening to us talk about Lord of the Rings, I need you to understand one thing and only one thing about Chapter 8. This was the episode that I needed to get back into it. I felt invigorated and re-inspired and excited for the rest of this whole book.
I got the horror fix that I was looking for.
Yeah,
in the
and
last
I was
episode.
like, now we're talking.
Yep.
This is like some scary shit going down.
I'm in.
Yeah. I think that we have a crap ton to talk about this episode. I have more notes than I've had in weeks.
Oh, no.
Oh my god, 2 pages.
I have 2 pages of notes. I have so many things I want to talk about.
Are they both sides printed?
No, they're single sides printed.
Oh, thank God.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's 39 talking points.
So last chapter, the hobbits enter the home of Tom Bombadil and are greeted by Goldberry, Tom's wife. During a hearty dinner, Tom warns them not to be afraid no matter what they hear in the night. Of course, they succumb to their nightmares and become terrified until Tom's voice reminds them they are safe. Sam is the only one that sleeps soundly through the night. The next day is rainy, so the hobbits must delay their departure. Tom begins to tell them stories of lore and history for so long, they don't know if it's been hours or days since he began. They learn Tom is unaffected by the ring, and he thinks they will be able to go on their journey the next day. He teaches them a summoning song if they should ever need his help, and then leads them back to the bedroom. Oh my God!
Maybe they go to bed. Maybe they go to bed.
This is the summoning song. I'll summon you to my bedroom.
I've been listening
Come,
and
little
reading way
hobbits,
too much
back
fairy
to
book.
the bed.
You have.
And then he leads.
Which one
the
of you
bedroom.
will give me head?
I have notes.
Oh my God! Okay, now that I'm crying, I'm trying to say this goddamn last sentence.
Leaves them back to the
I have
bedroom.
notes. Can we change the lesson?
His name is Frodo.
Okay,
His name
I
is
gotta, like,
Sam.
calm my face
Here
down.
is my dildo. Here is my hand.
Bombadil's a happy man. All right,
Mary was aroused.
just wait till we get to page 137 is all I'm going to say. All right,
Try again.
I'm going to try to not. I'm crying, so it's going to be a really hard cut for Chris. I'm so sorry. I laughed so hard I cried. All right. Okay, you guys ready? I'm going to power through.
You got it.
He teaches them a summoning song if they should ever need his help, and then they go to bed.
Thank fucking God that chapter's over.
Yeah.
All right, big doggy. Chapter 8.
All right, Chapter 8, Fog on the Barrow-Downs. We leave this fever dream that is Tom Bombadil, and we go back into the real world, where it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, seriously.
Where bad things are waiting for us.
Yes. So
It immediately turned into an R-rated movie.
Yes.
Like as soon as it went out.
Yep. It is just Saw.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Oh no. The chapter starts with their dreams, and there's no voices. They just kind of have a not weird night for once, and they wake up to Tom Bombadil like singing in the garden, and it's a lovely morning, and they come out and they have their little breakfast, and Tom just kind of pokes his head and is like, "You guys are burning daylight, and you should probably get out." It's like he's got stuff to do. He's like, it's like when you have guests over and they linger a little too long, and you're like, "I'm just gonna vacuum the other room, and you guys do whatever you want, but we're gonna." I got you. I got to go to the bank at 11, so like hard out.
He's just singing outside their window as loud as he can.
Yeah, just like banging everything against the windows. And so they go to leave, and then they like, oh no, we didn't say goodbye to Goldberry. Frodo's very upset by this, and then they like look, and she's like standing on a hilltop, and they just like drop their shit and run up this hill to her, and like they go to say goodbye, and it's this very weird interaction between her and Frodo, where like Frodo is like fanboying super hard, and she's just this weird elemental
Goddess.
yeah, And she's like, "Oh, that's very cute, my little elf friend. It was nice to meet you. Goodbye." And then they that's it, and they're happy, and they fuck. And they feel great. Sorry, should I say they fuck off instead?
For the listeners that aren't reading, no one has intercourse. They're leaving or fucking off, not on.
All right, fair. So off they go, and they're feeling very good.
I feel like I set a weird tone for this episode.
That was weird. You turned into a school counselor real fast. Just want to reiterate that there was no touching. There were no hands. The kids were separated.
But whatever happened was consensual.
Anything that did or did not happen, I did not know about, or I wasn't aware of it.
So they take their leave and off they go. They are they're very upbeat. They're feeling great. They can see the line of the mountains the downs in the far distance. They're like, "Fuck this, we go straight through." And so they do. And as they're there, it's all hills and valleys. And they make Tolkien makes a point of saying, like, there's no trees. Then they're all happy. There's no trees, but there's no water either. The eternal foe has been banished. There's no water. But they're far enough, right? Like it's easy going is the idea.
Yeah.
There's no geographic impediments. But he does make a point of saying, like, at this point, the hobbits are so far from home that they don't recognize the birds. It's like strange and lonely bird calls. So it's meant to be disquieting, but also to be like, they are so far the fuck out of their habitat. These hobbits, little hobbit in the big city type shit.
The big barrel.
That'll do, Hobbit.
And then they get to the top of a hill and they can see a line of trees. And Mary's like, "Those are the trees that line the road. I can see it. We can get there." And so they all think, great. So off they go. And they crest another hill and they come up and the terrain changes a little bit and the mounds start getting taller and they start being ringed with like stone circles and monoliths and all these like burial mounds. They start taking note of these kind of like less than nice things, right? The terrain is starting to get weird and fearsome, but in a passive way because they're still just climbing hills and walking up and down. Anyway, because they're hobbits, they want to stop for lunch. So they do. And they pick the top of one of these fucking hills. And they pick one with a big standing stone on it for reasons unknown to man or God. And they sit down, and it's getting warm, and the rock looks cool. So they go, and they like, we're going to sit up against this haunted ass rock. This will be fine. And they did the east side of the stone. Tom had like 3 pieces of advice for them, and one of them was always pass on the west. Mm-hmm. They're immediately embracing everything that tells them to abandon their survival instinct. Because they do the one thing the last adult they talked to told them not to do. Yeah. It's been most of a morning. I think it's like 10 a.m. So they sit up against this rock and everything is fine. And wouldn't you know, they take an accidental nap. And they wake up and like it's starting to get dark. Like the sun is setting and the fog is rolling into the hills and they're up on this hill that's turned into an island. And the fog is closing in and they watch the sun sink and they go, "Oh, fuck, we fucked up." Twilight comes in, the fog encloses them, and they're so worried about getting lost that they say, we're going to go single file, and we're going to stay close, and we're going to make sure nobody gets left behind or lost or whatever. So they go, and then Frodo gets super excited because he's like, "Oh, I know where we are now." Like this fog has been hemming them in from every side, and they're in this foreign country now, this awful world of like muffled nothing. And Frodo finds one thing that he thinks is a landmark, and he sees like these kind of like shadows, these big shadows. And he's like, "Oh, those are the hills at the end of the valley. This is fine. We're going to go." And so he just kicks his little pony up and trots the fuck off. And he's like, "Follow me, guys. This will be great." They do not follow him. And he's a fucking lone. And he gets there, and those 2 big shadows that he thought were his salvation turn out to be these standing stones. These like menhirs, this like part of a stone ring.
Yeah, for those who are listening, what is a standing stone?
So
Because some people may not be familiar with what a standing stone is.
think Stonehenge.
So like put there by a being.
Yeah.
Not naturally occurring.
Unnaturally.
Yeah. It is. It's for a ritual purpose, either to mark a landmark, but generally to mark like a burial mound. That's what a barrow is. And these are the Barrow-Downs. So these are all essentially think like prehistoric burial markers.
And more of a
most
ritual
people, right?
sacrifice or meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
more
So these are
ritualistic.
generally pretty big.
Yeah, thinking like 10, 12,
Yeah.
15 feet tall.
Okay.
Frodo sees these stones and immediately knows he has fucked all the way up.
Yeah.
Because he went through them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's alone. And he starts yelling for his friends and he's not really hearing anything. And he's the panic is coming back and the fear is there. And then he hears, Frodo, here, Frodo, hoy, Frodo. And he's like, I'm here, I'm coming to you, where are you? And he's climbing this hill again, a different hill. He knows it's a different hill. But he's panicking, right? He's looking for his friends. He's looking for anyone in this dark, foggy world. Like the pony is fucked off also. Like he got to the standing stones and the pony was like, I have survival instincts. You, sir, are out. He gets to the top and where are you? And then this voice that is not his friend's answers, here, I'm waiting for you.
From under the ground.
Yes. And then that's it. And then he wakes up in total darkness. Like that's his last conscious thing is like, oh, fuck. And then he wakes up in total darkness and he's laying there and he realizes he's like laying on cold stone. The air is close. Like he's in the barrow. He's in one of these fucking tombs. Tolkien takes a second to remind us that hobbits are surprisingly resilient and they have this little heart of courage. And sometimes in order to get to it, you really just have to use exposure therapy. You got to really put them in a fucked up bad way. And then at that moment, you find out whether or not the hobbit's okay. And I'm pretty sure this is Gandalf. This is how Gandalf has chosen every single hobbit, because you will never convince me that he's only taken 2 hobbits on an adventure.
That's a good point.
Like, he's probably just moved further and further west. In Buckland, they're like, fuck off. You stay away from my children.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so the idea is that you hobbits have this steel core buried in them somewhere, probably. And this light starts to emanate, this green light, and it's coming from Frodo. And then it lights the floor and a little bit of the walls, and he starts to see his friends come into focus, and he's like, oh no. Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Because he is fucked up bad, because now he's hearing these like voices and song. And these are songs about like hateful songs about when the moon dies and the sun is gone and the stars have succumbed to darkness. And it is truly some grim shit. Then the song changes and it takes on more of like an incantation, which is like a spell, a cadence, like a chant almost. And it talks about till the moon is dead and the Dark Lord rules everything. And while Frodo is sitting there laying on his back in this inside a tomb, this arm comes from around a corner. And it's just an arm. And it just kind of like a thing from the Addams Family comes.
Or Evil Dead.
Or Evil Dead comes bopping around a corner. And he looks over at his friends, and there are Merry, Pippin, and Santa all laid out side by side, dressed in little burial shrouds, with like dressed up like little princes with burial gifts on them, like belts and jewelry and a little bit of armor and of like gold circlets and shit. And then also just a big sword across their necks, and the hand is like going right to the pommel. Frodo is not so far removed from everything that he doesn't understand what's about to happen to his friends. But that's when he has this wild fucking thought, that heart of steel moment, the one that, you know, Gandalf and everyone believes in Hobbits. And Frodo has this thought and he says, well, what if I escape? What if I'm left to run happy and free in the green grass? I will grieve for my friends, but I will be alive and I will remember them, and that will be enough. And even Gandalf will agree that there could be nothing Frodo could do. It'll be fine. And he has this.
Slip that ring on.
Yeah, I'll put the ring on.
This part got me so mad. Right. I was so fucking mad reading this.
And he's so ready to just pop the ring on and just leave. But he has that moment and it passes, and he reaches and he grabs this like short sword that's laying around, because there's like treasure and shit everywhere. And he just takes his sword and he just chops the hand off at the wrist, because it's literally just this long arm coming out from like around
Disembodied arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. And he cuts the hand off, and there's this insane wail. And something is very deeply, truly unhappy now. And that's when Frodo remembers, I got my Tom Bomb song. This is it.
Tom Bombadil, ba-da.
Yeah. And then I don't know what the callback to that is or the return to that is, but he hears it. And Tom Bombadil's like, hey, little buddy, I taught you a song. What's wrong? and
No, he
Frodo's,
just says he's a merry fellow again.
I miss you all, Lord.
I knew you wouldn't get very far. So then, like, basically, Frodo finishes the song, and then Tom Bombadil kicks a wall in like the Kool-Aid Man.
Yes.
And he just, and now it's sunlight, and Tom's poking his big stupid head.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
You fucked up.
Hey, brother. And he just, and they drag the other hobbits out, and the hand is still like, kind of like, crawling along, and Frodo's dragging his friends to safety, and Tom goes inside, and there's, quote, the sound of much stomping as he just like shit stomps this like disembodied hand and then comes out with like all this gold. They lay the hobbits out on the grass, and so they wake him up, and Merry's been having a bad time because he immediately starts like, oh God, I just got speared by like some weird little hill tribe king, and I meant to die, and the men of Cardoon have found us, and oh, fuck. Nope. That's not me. But what is going on?
Yep.
So he has this, like, he wakes up from this dream he was having where he was someone who was murdered in a battle, one of those hill kings that the Barrows are made for. So he probably wasn't going to have a great eternity. And so Tom gets out, and the hobbits are looking at each other going, I don't really want to wear whatever nightmare rags these are. And Tom's like, well, your clothes are gone.
Wait.
So maybe you should just like, I don't know, boys, just embrace nature. Go buck wild, get buck naked. I'll be back. I've got work to do. And he fucks off down the hill. And the hobbits are
Singing a song.
oh yeah, he
As
fucks off singing,
always.
yep, because he's singing his song of Hey Ponies, Where You At? And so the hobbits actually like, he's gone long enough that they're just like, yeah, whatever. They get naked and they're just like basically like dancing around the hill and just having a good time outside of this hole in the
A
ground
lot
where
of
they were just
cartwheeling.
That's a visual spin going on. Cut that.
But because they're so small, it's like nothing's happening. It's like spinning a keychain real fast.
Stop.
it's proportional.
It's like a little fat on the steak. You're just like,
Little Vienna sausage spin.
little Frankfurter. Pig in a blanket.
Okay. Oh, let me know when you guys are done.
Never done.
So, you know, they're cartwheeling, having a great time and doing whatever else they do in the sunshine. And Tom Bombadil's off singing a song to gather up the ponies. And he does. And he comes back with all the ponies and everything. And he's pulled up all the gold. Like, by the way, he shows up with 6 ponies. That is, for everyone at home, that's more ponies than they had when they started. Tom's pony, Fatty Lumpkin, just happened to be wandering around and gathered up the other ponies, and like everybody chilled. And we're gonna have a very fine time. They were just gonna make it back to Tom's house. The ponies were gonna be okay. The hobbits, not so okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, Tom manages to bring everybody together through the power of music and love. And then he commences grave robbing.
Yes.
He because the hobbits still have their little swords and they got their little necklaces, and out of all the jewelry, Tom picks out some nice blue jewelry for his wife, and it's like, Goldberry would love this. Not going to tell her where I got it. Whoop, in the pocket. And the hobbits are like, they don't even really think about the pile of gold. That's where their heads are at. But Tom is like, we're just going to leave this on top of the hill, and then people are going to steal it, and it will scatter to the 4 winds, and that will break the enchantment of the barrow, and then whatever the fuck's in that hole will get banished to the dark gates beyond time and space. It'll be great.
He is so nonchalant too.
Yeah, he's like, we're going to send this thing to nowhere. We are going to undo this thing.
We're gonna unalive them.
We are going to unalive this unalive bitch.
Grave robbing is the way to go.
That's how he solves all his problems.
Apparently.
the hobbits take a second though, and they take stock, right? Because they're not allowed to take the treasure. They don't want to take the treasure. They look at like the knives they have, and these are like long knives for men. And Tom's like, "That's a hobbit-sized sword. You guys will do fine. Don't cut yourselves." And
No,
they finally
they put on their clothes, their winter clothes.
Oh yeah. They have to
did.
put on
Oh
their winter
my
clothes
They're very
because
warm.
it is like autumn. It was a crisp autumn day, and we all know what that means. At least up in this way, it means that it's 55 to 60 degrees in the morning, and then 85 in the afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now they're wearing like their long sleeve shirts.
They're ripe.
I would have stayed naked.
Like a classic party. Classic mess around.
No, I think honestly I'm old enough that everyone who's going to see me naked already has.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Except if we get a new doctor.
I said what I said.
He's never getting a new doctor.
So the hobbits, they have these knives and they're sharp and like, again, no instruction. Like, and for the first time the hobbits are looking at these like swords going, whoa, I feel like it's a good thing to have this, but none of them had really, are we going to fight things? Is this that it's that kind of adventure?
Right.
They have this moment because they have not been armed up to this point. They left for parts unknown to thwart the Dark Lord, and not one of them brought a fucking knife
They're just gonna hide the whole time.
the whole time. So now they have knives, and now they're thinking, well, swords for them, and they're thinking about it. Tom's like telling them stories about like, those are from, the men of Carn and the enemies of Angmar who were slain in the great before times. And they're talking about the northern kingdom of Arnor. And while he's talking about this, this line of men from Westerness, these Numenorean kings who ruled this land a long time ago, they start getting these visions, and they just see these like lone, like tall, statuesque men just like kind of like roaming the wilderness, kind of like righting wrongs, sort of like Robin Hood, but with no merry men and a lot more murder. And one of them has like a star on their brow, and like,
Yeah.
which is an interesting thing that comes up. But so they all have this like this shared vision of like men ranging around, and then it's over, and they come back to this fighting thing. Are we gonna? Do you think we're gonna? I'm not prepared to. I guess we got to.
Yes, we got to fight. I can't believe they didn't even consider the option of even fighting to begin with. This is the first time that they're like,
They're
We
3.5 feet tall.
we have to fight back?
They're the smallest.
I think it was sold to Frodo like he was the carrier pigeon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Seriously
Well,
though, like he is the vessel that is going to carry this great evil, and everyone around him is going to make sure he gets there.
to be fair,
then Gandalf
but yeah, but Gandalf did not bother to hint maybe
Yep.
bring a knife. Also happened to Bilbo.
Well, because Gandalf
Bilbo
was supposed
did-
to be the knife.
fair, but Bilbo also didn't.
Yes.
Like they didn't mention arming him before he fucked off from the Shire. And
Do you think they really would have left if Gandalf had been like, "You're gonna need this. It's dangerous to go alone."
Yeah, they weren't going to do.
I love you. That was well done.
That's so weird. That was so creepy.
It's a Zelda reference. So anyway, as they're contemplating whether or not they have foes that they can actually stab, because so far it's just been a scary bag of rags, big nasty tree, fog, and then
The undead.
The undead. So like these were not knife problems, right? We can all agree on that. But maybe there will be knife problems. And so they say, Tom, are you coming with us for the potential of knife problems? And Tom says, absolutely. I will come with you a little bit because you have a tendency to get into stupid problems. So they're very happy, and they're all singing songs and having little lunches and whatever. And they get up to that line of trees that they thought was the Great Road. And it's not. It's actually like a boundary dike, like a boundary trench with a wall, and it was like a national border of this fallen kingdom in the north. And this is all stuff that like Tom Bombadil's been telling them. And again, just like, these little smooth-brained hobbits are like, well, history lessons. Like just like wisdom rolling off of them like water off a duck. And so they pass through this thing with no recognition of its importance, and they go. And then Tom is like, yeah, by the way, the road's up there. See yas. Have fun. They find the road further on. And then they have this moment where they're like, wow, this shortcut only cost us like 2 days, which is a nice throw to Merry or Pippin. I don't remember which, who said that shortcuts make long delays.
It was Frodo that said that, actually.
Yeah, Frodo. Shortcuts make long delays.
No.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
Pippin wasn't, or Merry wasn't there. Yeah.
Mary wasn't there. Frodo said that because Pippin said
Pippin wanted to go to the.
Pippin wanted the
inns
shortcut.
make good beer runs or something like that. He says.
No, Pippin said shortcuts make long delays,
Because he wanted to go to the inn.
and Frodo said that inns make for longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Job,
Yeah.
guys.
There we go. So ironically, Pippin said this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, and in
Team
like
effort.
a nod to Pippin being right for once, Frodo says this thing, and then super downer. I guess this means the riders are going to find us. We should be careful. And suddenly they're all reminded of their extraordinary mortality,
Right.
and that these like supernatural horrors are following them. They didn't leave them in the hole in the ground. It's not Tom Bombadil. It's not his weird nature elemental of a wife. It's not haunted trees. The real danger is these giant evil things on big fucking horses that have been hunting them for the last week.
Yeah.
And now they're on the road where Frodo said, like, surely we should cut across country lest we be murdered on the road. And all they can come up with is, well, there'll be a lot of people, so maybe witnesses.
No, that was my point, actually.
There it is.
They never came to that conclusion.
Right. They end, the chapter ends with the hobbits coming to the hopeful conclusion that there is an inn at Bree, under Bree Hill. We just, all we have to do is get to this town, and they just desperately want to put a door between them and night. And that's the end of the chapter.
So I really thought of you, Laura, when I was reading this because it's such a horror-filled chapter. So ominous.
I was in my element. But it was weird because it wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting the horror to involve Tom Bombadil and the weird traps that he set for them. Turns out I was wrong, and he set 0 traps. And the horror was completely unrelated.
Right.
First of all, I want to just call out that was an amazing chapter summary. So much happened in it, and you called so much attention to detail. I would love to just dive right in. I want to talk about Goldberry.
Okay.
Okay, so why does Goldberry have this? It's almost like she like
She's a siren.
is
Yeah.
like a siren.
She has
like,
this,
She
like,
was singing
weird-
the fog away.
Yeah.
In
And
his
then she, like-
dreams.
yeah. And then on the top of the hill when she like waves her arms at them and then like disappears, she's got this like super weird, like hippie sex appeal.
yeah,
Frodo has the biggest crush on her.
and
Yeah.
he is crushing hard.
Yeah.
Like they're like okay, and I think it even says that they like so if they get on their ponies and they start, or maybe they're just walking.
No,
didn't
they're
have
on the
but I think they have
ponies and they start
right?
going away.
And they start walking, and then they get on some part and they realize Frodo's like, oh my god, I didn't say goodbye to Goldberry, and he like
And she
gets
just
off,
appears.
and it's like. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. She's like,
And him running through like the leaves and like
there she
the fields to
She's
find
like,
her.
No, wait, she comes up like,
The sun's shining off her
like
hair.
her long, luscious hair just like blows
hair.
back.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a child's crush.
Yeah. It's legitimately
wholesome.
it's like a 9-year-old that like develops her first feelings for like their science teacher.
And she's
You
like
know.
an actual goddess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
Most 9-year-olds would have the same argument.
I mean, yeah, true. I get it.
Yeah.
It really just reinforced an interesting thought of like Frodo seeks love. He seeks warmth. He seeks connection. And he's missing it from Gandalf, who he considers to be a close friend. He's missing it from Bilbo. He's missing it from his home life. And so right now he's just seeking anything to make him feel good, to refill his cup.
Well, because he was an orphan.
Yeah. Of course. Like he's starting every day at a deficit, you know, and he is seeking that. So when they go on this and they go to leave, you know, I think Frodo's aware of the fact that he's going on a very treacherous journey, and he's seeking his love cup to be refilled, his warmth cup to feel good. So
But I feel like he
like
does have really strong feelings for his friends too.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
I mean-
but I don't think he's getting love from them.
I think
and I
Sam-
don't think he's at a place
definitely
where he.
Sam.
And
He maybe
Mary
doesn't
shows
recognize
love
it.
in a
I think
different way.
I think you bring up the thing. Sam can give him love, but I don't think Frodo's accepting love from Sam.
That's fair.
Right?
And Mary gives
not
him-
yet. Not yet.
I think Mary gives him love in Mary's own way. Which his
Yeah.
love language might not be Frodo's love language. It's a little more control freaky, like, I'll be the boss of you.
It's
and-
like more
Yeah.
practical.
Yeah.
I think a weakness of Tolkien's writing, and I want to acknowledge this because I'm a huge fan of his style. Because like the writing is approachable and it's fucking funny. Like it's not funny all the time, but it's so dry. Like that line about surely Gandalf would understand that there's nothing Frodo could do.
Yeah.
Like it's just God fucking British humor is so dry and it just hits like a hammer.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's so good.
The point I'm getting to is that Tolkien doesn't write women very well. And
So far, I'd have to agree because there
and-
barely are any,
and
let
so
alone.
far at all.
Yeah.
There's been only 3 women mentioned. 3.
Esmeralda the Hobbit,
Yeah, Frodo's dead mother,
Frodo's dead mother,
Lobelia.
Lobelia the
Lobelia.
witch.
Mrs.
And-
Maggot.
Maggot's
sorry.
wife, who was
Okay, Maggot's
also
wife.
she was a little like shrill.
Yeah, well, not only that, but she's
And then
throwaway.
Goldberry.
She's not a real character.
Yeah, she didn't
Farmer
have
Maggot is.
any character development.
And then Goldberry the witch.
who's just like this goddess figure.
Right. So none of
Right.
them are actually like Lobelia is the closest to a person that we get.
But she's a
And-
villain.
Oh, also
Yes.
his oldest aunt, like it was like she was really old and she was the letter writer, or she wrote the
Oh,
column.
yeah,
and he was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
basically like nobody wants to read your stuff. He gave her a trash bag or like a waste paper
Yeah,
basket.
Further
those-
proving his point.
Yeah.
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 It's like the
He basically was like, no one wants to hear what you have to say, woman. Shut your mouth. Here's the trash can.
Turns
It's
out
so
Jurt
rude.
kind of a sexist.
Hey.
So far.
So far, yeah.
a lot of people assume that he is like tapping deeply into his war experiences.
Right.
And that was a time where like he would have formed these bonds with the people he was around, and that would have been men. Right.
Yeah.
So when you talk about 4 guy friends going off to go do the impossible and do this insane shit, he's tapping into some lived experience.
100%.
Like, yeah, because like if he really did have these like not in the future, if these experiences were super formative and they're forming the basis of these characters and these relationships, and that's the experience and the emotion he's drawing on, Tolkien's experience would necessarily exclude women from that experience.
I think that leads us into the next part that I want to talk about, which is overcoming fears. And
It's such a theme so far. Yeah.
it's been a really big theme so far.
They have failed miserably.
They've failed some, but they've overcome some at the same time. I kind of think
They've
about
been rescued several times.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it depends on how you want to define the word fail in terms of courage and fear. So I think about this. They were on their ponies. They were riding downhill,
Which is insane.
which is tough as is, and they were riding into fog. So I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but I've experienced this several times in my car when I've been driving at nighttime or early in the morning if I have an early call time for set and it's like 5:30, I'm on the road, and there's just like layers of fog obstructing your view, and it's like I'm in a car. I'm in a steel cage. You know what I mean? Nothing can hurt me. And I'm still kind of freaked out. If I think about whether or not if I would be able to have that same kind of courage that Frodo specifically exhibits when he rides directly downhill into a wall of fog, entering like basically blindness. We've had several moments so far where Frodo has started to display signs of weakness. He's starting to display signs of the ring's influence upon him. He is the best of the Shire, and he wants to be the best of the Shire, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Am I
No,
saying
no,
the
no,
wrong
no.
thing?
It's really funny because I'm thinking about like Gandalf with like spreadsheets and like his calipers to measure skulls. Like,
I think what Gandalf
this is
is
the
he ever,
best Hobbit.
if you guys have ever played fantasy football,
you just slapping it up there.
Frodo just happened to have made it through the bracket. There's a lot that happens in this chapter that's really informative. There's a lot that happens in this chapter that's really adventurous and fun. And I'm like, ooh, this is such like a fun chapter. But that was the first thing that I really thought about of like, this is an introspective line that easily could have been just glossed over by probably 90% of readers. But to me, I think about those things. And
Really
I thought
resonated
about,
with you.
yeah, like what does it feel like to face your fear,
unknown.
your face the unknown,
Yeah.
to try to be the courageous one, to try to be the leader.
I feel like he got the impression that going into the fog would be safer than staying where they were on
Yeah.
the top of that foggy hill
Yeah.
with the stone right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and he sure as fuck wasn't wrong.
Like it wasn't necessarily
Yeah.
safer, but it was on the way out. Like they're like the exit is right there.
as soon as he gets a hint that he's going in the right direction, he bolts. He's like, "Fuck it, we're going."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and then that's what fucks them up. But I think for a lot of people maybe who aren't reading this or who have, and for you guys for your first time, it may not resonate with you as much. But RJ, let me know what you think. A lot of people have feelings about Tom Bombadil. They have a lot of feelings about the first parts of the book. And I think the purpose here is to establish the character of the hobbits, right?
Yeah.
This is just hobbit time. This is just to see what hobbits look like in their natural environment, then in their unnatural environment. But really, it starts with them looking for the Great Road East like 40 pages ago, and now they're on the road. And so you have this weird loop where they go through a horrible forest. We go through the horror of Tom Bombadil. Then it's back to horror again with like a Barrow-Down, and then they're back on the road. But we learn so much about the hobbits as a group. We learn about
Yes.
how they respond to threats
Temptation.
and temptation and their lack of planning and their general lack of ability. And it's like every problem they've had, except for leaving the house, they've needed help.
Yeah.
I think he summarizes this in the book with a very succinct, beautiful line. There is a seed of courage hidden, often deeply, it is true, in the heart of the fattest and most timid hobbit, waiting for some final and desperate danger to make it grow. And that's like the whole character development of a hobbit right there. And he just put them through like
What's
seeing
that trigger
them,
gonna be?
He would see them in their natural
Yeah.
habitat and then putting them
Yeah.
in their not natural habitat and triggering them, pinching an ouch, like making them feel something to
Like
make them.
it has to be pulled out from them.
It
Yeah.
does. It's very deep inside them. But even the oldest, fattest, laziest hobbit can be this person, this courageous character. And that's like what makes this so unique and beautiful, because it's not like the 6'8" tall, muscled man with a sword who's the hero. It's actually these little people who are so,
Fluffy.
yeah, not fluffy, but like
Yeah.
underestimated.
Yeah, because it goes back to like
But they are
something-
fluffy in the best way.
like when we talked about the war with the trees and all that. Like,
Yeah.
if these little hobbits get to carve out their weird, idyllic, boring fucking existence because they have killed everything that's tried to make that different for them.
At the end of the day, if it's something between them surviving and not, they're going to survive.
Yeah, if you get between them and second lunch, you're done.
It's like it's a couple generations ago when they killed all the trees, but it's in there.
So
Well, it's even like with Frodo when when suddenly he's not on his pony, and I don't remember if he guts off or if the pony
kicks him off.
or what.
Throws him off.
It kind of like stands up on the back legs and he
the pony's
jumps
like,
off.
Pony
this
does.
was the wrong choice,
Tom-
and
yeah.
I'm saving myself.
Tom Bombadil makes a point of saying the ponies have way more fucking sense than the hobbits.
Yeah.
100%.
So when Frodo's, I only say this to talk about surviving. So when Frodo's in the fog and he's off the pony, it says that basically the only thing he really cares about in that moment is finding which direction the hill is and walking up it. So
He's following the voices of his friends.
yeah, like not only that, but like he is aware that he just rode a pony down the hill into the fog, fucked up, got off the pony, and is trying to get back up the hill. Right?
Help, help.
He's hearing his friends at the top of the hill, which might all just be fake. It might just be the Barrow-wights messing with him. I'm not sure. It's really kind of confusing how that's written, and on purpose. It's supposed to be confusing. But like even in that moment, like he's just trying to be like, okay, backtrack, Frodo. We're going to backtrack. We went down the hill. That means we go up the hill. And that right there was really interesting because you start to get this momentum of, I mean, he even gets to the top. It's like, when the land stopped going up and it flattened, he knew he was at the top. Mm-hmm. And then cuts to black because the Barrow White got him.
Yep. He fucked up.
And you're like,
oh,
God,
good job.
Well, what I love about this page too, and this is something I did not tell you guys when we were reading this the other night, it was so hard for me not to burst out laughing because there's some very deep, beautiful moments happening on this page. There's also this beautiful sentence that I'm going to read for you right now. The thought hardened him. He found himself stiffening. He no longer felt limp. I was like, where the fuck is this going? And then it quickly goes to he doesn't feel like a helpless prey anymore. And then it goes into fear. But I was like, whoa. I was like, what? Is Goldberry back? What is happening?
It's just like Mary is aroused.
Yep.
And I thought of Laura. I was like, oh
damn
my
it.
God. Yeah. I thought of Laura being like, Mary's aroused here. And like in that moment, I was like, the thought
Slightly
hardened him.
suggestive writing here. Whether it's on purpose or not, we don't know.
Is he talking about boners?
It's like, when he gets scared, he gets hard, apparently, in multiple ways.
yeah. So I think it's probably
Moving
worth,
right along. That's not making it, but I just had to share it.
I think it's probably worth keeping it moving. I mean, once they're
That's what he said.
once we're down in the Barrow Whites, excuse
Yeah,
me.
he is.
Once we're down in the Barrows and Frodo's down there, I mean, just to kind of bring it back to what I was saying. So I think you have this moment, honestly, when Frodo is inside the Barrow and the weight of the ring upon his body is really starting to come forth and like show itself as like drawing this weakness, this darkness out of him. He's considering abandoning his friends.
No, he's like fantasizing about it. He's like, I will dance happy and free in the sun.
Yeah.
I will mourn my friends, but I will be free and happy.
Like, this is a fucked up moment.
Is
Yeah.
it?
This is a pretty fucked up
Oh,
moment.
no, you're right. Sorry.
Like, Frodo is like this sort of beacon of hope and good and all, like,
But is he?
yeah, obviously he is.
It reminds me of
He's considered the best from Gandalf, and I trust Gandalf.
Yeah.
Even though I think he's a jerk, he's considered the best.
He's the best for the task,
Yes.
but doesn't mean he's the best.
Well, let's settle this real quick. Best Hobbit.
best at what?
Best Hobbit.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
far, Sam.
Frodo.
Mary.
Sam.
Okay.
All right.
Sam sleeps like a log. Can't empathize with them. Snitches on his friends and is manipulative or manipulatable.
Manipulatable.
Labrador
God.
Retriever.
What's the word?
Manipulatable.
I don't think that's a word.
Manipulatable.
No.
Yeah.
Easily-
Manipulatable.
Easily manipulated.
Easily manipulated.
Easily manipulated.
Yep.
That's it. No, but he has no fear.
Pippin farts
in that.
way too much. Mary, too much pride
Whoa.
in his stories.
They would have died in the woods and probably not even made it out of the house if not for Mary.
This whole thing reminds me of a quote that I once heard that it's like your first thought is kind of what you were conditioned to believe in a situation when Frodo's like, I have to save myself. I have to get out of here. But your second thought is like who you are as a person, who you've been
Interesting.
building yourself to be. And his second thought is, no, I have to stay here and save my friends.
I love that.
Yeah.
So he
So
is
he's-
more aligned with his second thought.
Because I feel like Bilbo raising him maybe would have had that inclination to save himself.
Have you guys ever had a friend? They one up a story.
Yeah.
So if you say, oh my gosh, on Friday night it was so crazy my power went out, your friend will be like, oh my gosh, this one time my power went out and then I was out for 6 weeks, and it just
Yeah.
becomes this thing where they are
grandma.
they're
We had to burn grandma for fuel.
yeah,
And like,
yeah, it's a one up of a story. I'm like legitimately starting to get this vibe from Mary.
get there.
Like I'm legitimately starting to get this vibe from Mary because everyone keeps being like Tom is like, hey, you almost just died in a fucking barrow white or in a barrow.
Yeah.
By the whites,
Yeah.
and you had no idea about any of this, but you're going to go to this place, which I'll tell you where to go since you guys clearly can't take care of yourself. You're going to go down this road. You're going to find a place called the Prancing Pony.
So here's the thing.
And Mary goes, oh, I know that place. And it's like, how?
No,
How the fuck could you have
Well, first
possibly
off,
known
there
about
aren't
this
many
fucking
bars
place?
and restaurants in this
So
time.
no. Let's be real. Though. Let's be real. So the crux of your argument is that Mary doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
How could people have gone there and come back through the forest without dying?
They didn't. They went down the East Road.
They took the road like normal people.
Like
They
normal
didn't take
people.
the
Why
road.
did they take
didn't
the
cut through the
road?
forest.
They didn't take the road because Frodo made the fucking assumption
He
that
said, get off the road!
He went
Or
through
we'll
the
be
old
murdered.
forest.
After
He
him.
went through the old forest.
Yeah.
Which is
Right.
why they're going the
Right.
backwards
Turns
way.
out I hate Frodo.
Normal people aren't being
problem
chased
is
by
with Mary.
black riders.
So
Right.
what I
Normal
love about
people
this-
use the
Wait. What I love about this is Chris was defending Frodo for all his worth. And now
I wasn't defending Frodo. I was saying
Attacking
I
Mary.
Pissing on Mary.
I want
He was
Mary to stop fucking.
knowing things.
I don't.
And being responsible.
He's a know-it-all one-upper.
But like
No.
living
Yeah.
in Buckland,
It's-
the easternmost point of the Shire,
He's a know-it-all
being
one-upper.
right on the eastern road, he probably does know people who have taken the east road out to Bree and come back and been like, "Hey, there's this great pub out there."
Chris, the difference between somebody who's full of shit and somebody who knows what they're talking about is that somebody knows what they're talking about.
But it's the thin line, man.
Right. Well, we are rapidly approaching. Every time Mary says, "I know a thing" or "I'm taking point," it's getting thinner and thinner.
And we're getting more and more in danger.
Yeah. So, like,
Correct.
but Mary's not
So
danger.
there's a part of me that's going, okay,
We've been arguing about Mary for 25 minutes.
Mary is putting us into danger.
So I think
Mary
we
is
should
the
move
true
on.
enemy.
Mary is Sauron.
So I'm really
I have an important question.
Mary is actually a Dark Rider.
okay. Go for it.
Why did they fall asleep on that fucking hill?
No.
Oh my
They was-
god! Could you not be like tiny
No.
little toddlers for like 5 minutes
Yeah.
and not take a nap every time your stomach is full?
Wow.
Every time they eat, they're like, ah!
They're like, oh my god, the sun is out, it smells like grass, and my stomach is full.
Sounds like a good deal. No. So, Laura, I think you're right, but also maybe evil magic?
It was evil magic.
No.
It was the cold
It
stone
was
they
evil
laid their
magic
backs
once
on.
already.
No, the cold stone they laid their backs on.
Can't all
On the
be
east
convenient.
side. It
It's
was
too
the.
convenient.
It was the east side.
That's what I'm saying.
Wait, are
Yeah,
you
no,
saying
Chris
they
is right.
wandered?
Too much
Are you saying they
convenience.
wandered into an evil trap like fucking children?
I'm saying they already did that once, and it would be lazy to have that happen twice.
No, that's the world.
Are you? Wait, would you? Would it
See,
be?
now Laura's joining my team.
Would it be any lazier?
I need some fucking real reasons why things are
because
happening.
it
Wait,
specifically
no,
said,
no,
oh, my
no.
stomach was full, and the sun was nice, and it smelled nice.
It's nap
and we
time.
accidentally took a nap.
But their backs were against a cool stone that
East
surprisingly
side.
wasn't getting warm in the sun.
East side. Look,
Still,
Laura.
It's a fucking
could've
burial stone. Get
stayed
out
awake.
of there.
is the no? Is it?
burial stones put you to sleep.
Is it?
Apparently.
No, the sleep. They put you to the sleep.
Loud noises!
All right, so Laura, is it lazy beyond belief to have the hobbits take another accidental nap? Or is it just in keeping with the idea that they had a song already taught to them in case they did something stupid like take a nap?
Yeah.
No. It was a poor choice on their part to take a nap.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
What's
saying.
the opposite of plot armor?
Yeah. I want to bring up a very exciting point.
Gut exposure.
So I feel like we had a lot of discrepancies about how many ponies there were in these books. And I just love in this chapter, we finally have our answer because Tom Bombadil sent his magical master pony, Fatty Lumpkin, to round up these errant ponies who were terrified and trying to take care of themselves. And he taught them wisdom and how to take away their fear.
And names.
And then
oh my
Tom
God,
was
the
like,
names.
here
What are the
they go.
names?
He sings them back, but this is what he named them. Sharp Ears, Wise Nose, Swish Tail, Bumpkin, White Socks. And then here comes his horse, Fatty Lumpkin.
He can
Hey,
talk
now.
to
Also, yeah,
ponies.
they answer to those names.
He's doing this song again. He goes, hey now, come hoy now, whither do you wander? Up, down, near or far, here though or yonder. Sharp ears, wise nose, swish tail, and bumpkin. White socks, my little lad, and old Fatty Lumpkin.
I love the way you do that.
Their ponies were already awesome before, but now they're just like another level. They have no fear.
Apparently,
they have
didn't
wisdom.
have names before.
They weren't named.
Yeah.
Mary's
They've
a
never-
cold-hearted master.
Seriously.
He didn't name his ponies.
Shit.
He would just slapping their asses like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Your name is Sam's pony.
God.
There were a couple times where I could not keep track of where the ponies were. Like when they were going to Tom Bombadil's house in the last episode.
They were just running amok.
They were like, oh, they're just like running up the hill. I was
But
like,
now we know
where
because
are
he
the
sent them back. He
ponies?
summoned them back in song. There was 5 ponies for all times, and now he added a 6th one temporarily, and then he takes his master pony back.
Yeah.
So there's 1 pony per hobbit,
Yes.
plus a pack pony.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Fatty Lumpkin.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Fatty Lumpkin's not there for all
He's
time.
not, yeah, he's not their pony.
So the 6th pony thing in the beginning was a typo.
Oh,
We caught it.
weird.
Interesting.
So what I love though is that the idea that these ponies, he didn't name them, he learned their names.
Yes.
So one of them is called Bumpkin.
but also cleverly rhymes with his horse's name.
Lumpkin.
But I just see Bumpkin like bumping around when he walks. Like he's a weird gait.
Okay. That's
He's
fair.
probably, you know what though?
Let him finish, let
I
him finish,
saw
let him
I
finish.
saw him as the pack mule.
He's got a club foot.
No,
Laura.
he's bumping around because he has all the bags.
Oh, bag boy. Poor fella.
Sorry.
No.
continue.
I was just gonna
I
say
just
though,
got
like
excited.
animal names are the best when they rhyme and they're stupid.
Yeah.
Like, well, the other thing, like, okay, Fatty Lumpkin. I was like, that's a terrible name for a horse. And I was like, wait, I call my cat Zippers, and like half the time I refer to him, it's Fat Boy.
All right,
It's
real
actually
fast.
kind of endearing.
Let's jump into it. Okay, everybody, give me a nickname for a pet you have.
Okay, so for our cat Ziggy, one night I was really drunk on wine and I was trying to call her over and I called her Ziggy Boo Boo Bear and that's not her chosen name. So her name is Ziggy Boo Boo Bear.
We have a cat named Zippers, and I just call him Fat Boy because he got a little jungle pouch.
We have a cat named Rory, and I call her Beanie.
Why?
Oh,
No idea.
Okay. That's how most cat names work. That's fine. My cat's name is Persia, and she's kind of little, so I just call her the babiest baby all the time.
The babiest baby?
yeah,
I like
but
that.
also Screamer.
Keep going.
I call Thor the whore because anytime we have a party, he just comes out immediately and wants everyone to rub him and hold him and he screams for pets.
We have 4 cats, by the way.
I generally refer to horses as puppies.
Horses?
Yeah.
As puppies?
Yeah, it's a big puppy.
That's really cute.
Well, because it's the only thing that allows me to like I have to mentally deconstruct a horse to get near it because it's so big and stupid and scared of me, and I'm scared of it, and it could just step on my foot and break all of my toes.
Oh my god, horses are terrifying.
Right?
Okay, you get
Like
Ash.
they're animals of war. So
So we have a cat named Ash, and I call her Lumpkin.
Really?
Aw.
Lumpy. She likes to
Sprawl out in your
sprawl
arms.
out, and she's very lumpy.
And she dead weights in your arms.
She dead
too.
weights, and I call her Lumpy or Lumpkin, and or sack of shit.
yep.
Good name for a cat.
Yeah.
If your pet doesn't have a nickname, do you really have a pet?
Yeah.
Right.
You want final one? Do you have one for zippers?
No, actually, I have a horse named Frankie.
Horse named
Lots
Frankie?
of things rhyme with Frankie. So when she's being
Hanky?
a shit,
Panky?
she's cranky Frankie.
Cranky, hanky,
When she's in
Frankie.
heat, she's skanky Frankie. I think that one was actually courtesy of Patrick.
Well, that was because she met a little pony named Henry. Henry was small, right? And he was a gelding, which means he was a neuter. He was so small that she had to be facing downhill.
Oh god.
But he tried anyway, and she was like, yeah, go for it, little guy.
I found her blanket. It was during the winter. I found her blanket ripped into shreds from the back end.
Right, because horses wear
God.
you dress a horse in a blanket in the winter.
Chris knows he used to have a horse blanket in the back of his car.
Confusing. Well, let's just leave it at that.
So, but Frankie's, but the thing that we didn't communicate is that Frankie's a huge fucking horse, and Henry was this little guy.
What the fuck are we talking about?
So okay,
Pony?
so, all right, so
He's a big horse, and his friend was a little guy. What the fuck are we talking?
why do you have to say it that way?
Who has a horse blanket? What's going on? It's not me.
All right.
We gotta wrap this up.
What do we
Oh
got?
my god! So those are some great nicknames.
One thing I really loved about this chapter was we're talking about Tom Bombadil, and he speaks to the hobbits in an ancient language whose words were mainly those of wonder and delight. And it goes on, and he talks about all these things, and he's kind of sad to remember it because it's not how times are now. And I just feel like it's solidified for me. He is a being that was here before the current world. He transcends time and space, and he's in this place of just wholesomeness and love and light and song and wonder. And he can't be affected by the ring or evil or some of these scarier things of the current world because he was before it. So because he existed and is older than it, like it doesn't matter to him. And I think that's really beautiful, and I see why Tolkien has him in here, even though he doesn't make sense. He's just sprinkling this light and this joy and this hope and kind of teaching them like you can overcome this if you don't let it conquer you.
I also really liked that line, and it kind of changed my opinion on Tom because, as you recall, last episode I was like, Tom is ominous and terrible, and something awful is going to happen.
And then it's a false lead.
Yeah, it was. He came to their aid in this chapter, and then that one sentence that was like, Tom sang most of the time, but it was chiefly nonsense, or else perhaps a strange language, unknown to the hobbits, an ancient language. And I was like, oh my God. Maybe these bullshit songs that he's singing are just another language, and that's why they don't make any fucking sense to us.
But because he's accommodating his presence, this form he's in to them, that he's presenting makes it like sing-songy nonsense to just have them be able to understand it and not be afraid.
Right? Like that's
like,
It's supposed to be comforting.
Changes everything.
like that's always the joke, right? Like when people go into a tomb or whatever and they read the inscription and something's like, you read hieroglyphics? What does it say? And it always rhymes. And it's never like, well, depending on the century, this means horse or wheat or obligation. I don't know what it says.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that went nowhere.
No, that's awesome, though.
That's the scotch.
I think that's a perfect place to transition us to food for thought.
All right, let's do it.
So, what do we fucking have here?
I think I
have a lot of-
recognize these.
I have a lot of questions.
So I was extremely uninspired by this chapter. There were very few mentions of food, and I was also a little lazy about it. So the best-
Hold on. Don't start by selling yourself short. This is amazing.
So this is
You hate the Barrow-Downs.
This is a diorama made of donuts of the Barrow-Downs.
Uh-huh.
So
Wait, and the hobbits?
if you look really closely, and we will post some photos so you can see. All right, we've got Barrow-Downs made of donuts. Chocolate glazed donuts, to be precise. There's some buttercream frosting grass on top.
The two standing stones.
There are some standing stones made of cookies and cream. I don't know, Hershey's.
the cookies and cream.
The bars.
Yeah.
Yep. So they make really nice stone colors. And then if you get really close, you can see, there is a green hobbit, a.k.a. Gummy Bear, casting a green light.
AKA Frodo.
Inside of
Can I ask you a question?
thing, yeah.
How did you do the grass?
It with a buttercream frosting tip.
The grass looks so cool.
Why, thank
Yeah.
you.
It comes out in little like groups. It's like little hairs.
And then the other
Yeah.
three hobbits are just laying there like
So
logs.
what do we have
Okay.
inside? What do we have inside?
I've been interrupted. I'm sorry. So we all, in addition to our standing green gummy bear to represent Frodo and his green light, we have 3 gummy bears lying on their backs on the inside of the cross section of the Barrow-Downs, and there is a little bit of Pocky to represent a sword lying
What the hell
across
is
their
Pocky?
backs.
Pocky? You don't know Pocky?
Oh my god, it's an
No.
Asian
Okay.
dessert.
What's
It's
Pocky?
incredible.
I brought a lot more of it.
Yep.
It's like a little cookie.
It's like a cookie stick with
Do you
dipped
remember the
in
little
chocolate.
cookies I used
In
to
chocolate.
love that had the strawberry filling and the vanilla filling with the little
No.
pandas?
That's not Pocky.
cookies.
no,
sticks.
but it's by the same company. It's a different.
Well,
So it's not Pocky.
So I love that we have these little grass covered hills with like a tombstone on
cut
top,
that.
and we got a whole bunch of little weirdos in the bottom.
Yep.
But Laura, how are we going to eat these?
I'm pretty sure you're just going to have to reach in. First of all, we have to decide which hobbit we're each going to eat.
I got my big disembodied arm.
And Pat is
you
going to
taking
eat
the
an entire bear down. Yep, there
Go
he
for
goes. Yep. There's a whole
God.
hill in his hand.
Oh,
Got the whole hill in his hand.
We're going to watch Pat go first.
Oh, that was way less exciting than I thought it would be. That whole... Yeah, there we are.
oh,
Yep.
he's going for it.
So,
Ladies and gentlemen that are listening,
An entire donut
an
just went in his
entire
mouth.
barrow went in his mouth.
with his bare hands.
Pat, what do you have to say? Can you breathe?
Okay, I'm stealing Frodo.
RJ's going in.
I'm going
All right.
for Frodo, and I'm going to dip him in the grass of the downs.
There we go.
You fucked up, dude.
Pat won't be able to speak for a while.
You also have fucked up hands.
Oh, the carpet and your shoes.
There's barrow grass all over the place. It's everywhere.
I'm gonna reach in and take
Do you mind hanging out for another 20 minutes like this?
the end of the hill.
I'm gonna take a little gummy.
Wait, there's runts in there.
So I never had a Pocky or whatever it's called, right?
Pocky.
Pocky. So I'm gonna try this.
Yeah, just eat the
It
little
looks
cookie.
like a chocolate covered.
Yeah, I
Don't
know what
say
you're
it.
gonna say.
I think we might need to get something for Pat. He's kind of running out of
Pat, please
air.
swallow.
So I guess that concludes chapter 8.
Fog on the Barrow-Downs.
The Fog of the
Yes.
Barrow-Downs, which leads us to next week's episode, which is chapter 9.
At the Sign of the Prancing Pony. Thank you so much always for listening and watching. And tune in next time.
Peace. Of cake.
Ow.